So Suzanne, here we are again, working our way diligently through the Wagnerian canon.
It's extraordinary.
To our great surprise, we're commencing The Ring.
Ah, wow.
And it's the first independent Ring since 1913.
I can't believe it.
And I think I'm correct in saying it's the first Victorian-based production ever of The Ring.
That's so wonderful though, isn't it? Particularly coming out of the year that we've been through for Victorian artists to be engaged in such an extraordinary project that employs not just wonderful singers and musicians, but also the whole design team, the technical team, everybody getting an opportunity to come back with a project as inspiring as this is just amazing.
We started the orchestra rehearsals last week. They hadn't played together since, no one had played together since March last year when we finished off Fidelio, and actually February. And they were just saying, oh, it's such a relief to be back in a room with a large number of people, even though they're all masked, I hasten to add, playing together. It's a great atmosphere. We're also really lucky to have the Regent. We'll be reopening the Regent Theatre with this production. Of course, we had originally planned it to be in August, hadn't we?
August last year, that's right. And for a little while it looked possible, and then it looked
very
not possible.
We've had very many vicissitudes. But here we all are, and we're looking forward to opening on February the 3rd, and then taking the production to Bendigo, to the beautiful Alumbra Theatre, where we'll be presenting the whole catastrophe, but in a COVID-safe manner. We're very cautious about the whole thing, but it will be the full cast, orchestra and production, so it'll be a very exciting event for
that's one of
us all.
That's so good about being in the Regent too, because being such an enormous theatre with a seating capacity of, what is it,
2,800.
22, so nearly 3,000. So there's no issues about being able to, distance the audience if we need to.
No.
The show is perfect because it has no interval. And
there's no love involved.
And there is not a lot of love in this opera, so it's a very COVID-safe opera.
Particularly no chorus. It's all worked out rather well. There's a few nibelungs running around, but they'll be socially distanced.
They will, and we've kept it within our kind of bubble of the cast too. So we're being very cautious about all of those things.
As I think you and I agreed, we were saying, well, let's start putting on The Ring, and let's do it in a pandemic.
It's just a publicity stunt for an opera that's largely about the end of days. That's right. Yeah.
But we also, to our great delight, we've always had David Cram involved in this production, we've had very good successes with your production of Tannhäuser and Lohengrin. But we've also been fortunate to get Anthony Negus, the great Wagnerian conductor, who's worked with us on, of course, Tristan and Flying Dutchman and then Fidelio. And the plan was to have him running The Ring as well. He was locked up in Wales. To our great amazement, we were able to get him on a plane.
We saved the whales.
Weekend.
We saved the whales. It was amazing.
And he and Carmen, his wife, who's the German coach, a great specialist, were very, very happy to be leaving Wales and getting to Australia. We had a tiny window. So we have David and Anthony working happily together. It's going to be a very exciting production.
Well, it's so wonderful because there's a great sympathy between them that I can feel already. I mean, and enormous respect for the storytelling and the theatricality of the pieces as well as the music. So it's a kind of beautiful collaboration between.
So I'll ask a very German question. What is your concept for the production?
For this production in particular, or for the whole Ring? I mean, that's one of the things that's so interesting is you can't look at an opera in isolation in this. So that's what's the massive task for the director, is you're not just preparing one opera, you're looking forward to the end.
And the designer, and the whole team,
everybody,
actually.
The whole team.
The casting, the lot.
Everything you have to think about, well, so where are we going to with this? Because otherwise you're setting yourself up to terrible problems later on. Look, for me, I am very interested in the contemporary resonances of the story, no doubt about it, and the show without feeling kind of literally modern insofar as we're not setting it in some kind of mundane, day-to-day type setting. I mean, it's not like the current Bayreuth production, which is kind of set in a motel, and it's that then makes those references
on Route 66.
Yeah, but
or a hydroelectric power station.
That's right. And so, look, I mean, okay, these things can be valid when you're setting, when you're showing this work in a place that has a culture of seeing these works yearly and wants to be able to, you know, have different insights and different viewpoints, and always, you know, the excitement, some of it comes from what's the interpretation going to be? What are we going to see?
How loudly should we boo?
Well, you know, there is a bit of that. I mean, I could digress, but the very first ring cycle that was here in Melbourne in the Opera Australia ring a few years ago, I sat down at a dinner with an anaesthetist who was basically spending his retirement travelling around from ring cycle to ring cycle, and he said to me, "This is my third ring cycle for the year. I've been here and I've been here," and he said, "And I'm seeing every instalment of the cycle." And I said, "So you're seeing all three cycles fully through?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "So, pardon me for asking," I said, "I can imagine as a professional what my professional interest in that would be, but you as an audience member, tell me how you view it." And he said, "Okay, so the first time I go, I sit there with my eyes closed and I listen to it. I like to hear the musical interpretation of it. And then the next time I watch with my eyes open to see what they've done with it." Quote unquote. And then the third time I'm settled and prepared to enjoy the whole. I thought, how extraordinary.
They're technically known as ring nuts.
Oh, totally.
And there's a lot of them.
But I was so impressed and interested in that. So yes, so we do. This does feel quite fresh. This production, it's not being set in a traditional past, because we want to move towards looking at some of the big issues that it addresses by Götterdämmerung, by becoming contemporary with it. So Rheingold is set in a past anyway. It's set in a past of the gods as they're about to transition to Valhalla from their, you know, they're lording it over the world.
They're
and
in
so,
Valhalla's waiting room.
Yeah. So there is a sense that roughly about 20 years pass between Rheingold and Die Valkyrie. So that's what we're taking into account in an approximate way in our design look, but not in a literal way. It sits in a poetic. I think if you try and drag Wagner too much down to a quotidian level, then you're cutting out a whole heap of other possibilities of interpretation. So I wanted to sit on a kind of poetic, I guess, a poetic way.
And fortunately, Valkyrie is not 20 years down the track. We're planning...
Not for us, but in the opera timeline.
We're very fortunate. We've secured Her Majesty's next year for Valkyrie in February 22.
Yeah, that'll be my first time working in Her Majesty's, so I'm very excited about that.
Well, this is the beauty of Melbourne, of course. We have so many historic theatres still.
I know, it's wonderful.
And of course, the Mags goes right back to the Melbourne Williamson seasons. And then, of course, the Princess was the last theatre that held an independent ring cycle in 1913. The promoter went broke, we won't be. So the history in Melbourne is an interesting one of Wagner productions. And we're lucky that we're up to, what are we up to, our fifth? We did Rienzi, the Australian premiere of Rienzi. Lohengrin, Tannhäuser, Tristan, Dutchman. This is our fifth,
Number
and
5.
away we go. So we haven't got many left to go, Suzanne.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, I don't know whether this is an interesting thing to say, but, you know, I look back so I came back into working in the opera fairly soon after my third son was in primary school, and I think if you told me then that I was going to be on to my fifth Wagnerian opera by now, I would have said, you're crazy. You know, I thought maybe I'd be doing a few small shows here and there. So, you know, I'm so indebted to Melbourne Opera for the opportunity to work on these big productions. It's been just an extraordinary boost in a career for you know, I don't want to go into a feminist political diatribe, but it is very hard as a woman when you've had a handful of children like I have to get back into an industry that you've trained for so long. And honestly, coming back in when I did after having had the children, it was like starting again. So I am so thrilled to have this incredible opportunity.
Well, look, I think it's mutual, and of course the fact that we're able to do it independently without any government support I think is also very interesting. Yep. The other really interesting factor is that we're able to, thank heavens, cast the whole thing locally. That is always our intention, but of course with the pandemic, that has proven to be a great strength of the production, that it's cast locally very strongly. Our covers are all local very strongly, and aside from Anthony, everyone on the staff, the creatives, the lot, are all locals, and it's about time that it was recognised the depth of talent in Victoria and particularly in Melbourne.
Yeah, and what's so wonderful here too is that people are getting an opportunity to develop roles that they can sing for many, many years.
That's right.
Because really, you know, a small number of these artists have worked on these roles before, mainly as covers,
Yes.
and not had the opportunity to sing as principals. And so to step into those roles for ongoing Wagnerian careers, and to be able to study them with such great people as David Cram, Anthony Negus, get on the floor, Raymond Lawrence, our head of music, to get on the floor and work these pieces and really dig into the nitty-gritty of understanding what the roles are. It's just been brilliant. Even, I run the Emerging Artists program for Melbourne Opera, and we have a number of our emerging artists engaged, 2 of them in principal roles in this, and this augurs well for their professional careers, that they've got this experience.
Well, in fact, one of those young artists, emerging artist Darcy Carroll, had just won a major scholarship to go and work at Wiesbaden.
Yep.
And for him to sing the role of Donna before he gets to Wiesbaden is just a fantastic opportunity for him to really get his chops together for a big role in a big production.
And for him to be able to stand on stage amongst really, really established singers who are able to share their professional knowledge with him. It's been he says that he's learned so much already in the 2 weeks in the room that he's been here. So.
Haven't we all? Anyway, Suzanne, we're looking forward very much to this. We're opening on February the 3rd at the Regent, and then we're taking the whole apparatus as much as we can with the COVID, but certainly all the musicians and singers, of course, and costumes and everything, to the beautiful theatre in Bendigo. And it's our intention to take the whole ring regionally as well as we unfold it.
I think a regional ring would be unforgettable.
Based in Bendigo, a golden city.
Ah, boom boom, or boom boom.
Anyway, on we go.